Hello everybody, Caden here today with another episode of our Fossils and Archaeology Creative Park series type thing. I still don't think I have a name for it. Well, but that doesn't matter. Who needs a name for your series when you could just make an episode? Yeah, that's all we need to worry about. I just need to worry about making an exhibit. Who needs to have episode titles or series names? Not me, evidently. Anyway. Today, as you've seen, obviously, by the thumbnail and the video title, and probably what most of you would have guessed I would have picked anyway, because I guess it probably is one of the animals that made the most sense to pick, considering the specifications of what I wanted. But we're doing Pachycephalosaurus today, because it's a nice, small-ish herbivore that should make a decent first animal for the park. You know, it's not too big that, it's, a bit over the top for the entrance and not, and too interesting. And it's also not super small and too adorable like the Xaeros, which, although I love them, I don't feel like they necessarily make the greatest park opening animal, just because they're kind of too small and too adorable. They seem more like something that would be like, I don't really know actually, almost like a petting zoo, but petting zoos are usually on the fringes of the park, and I kind of feel like that's where the Xaeros are gonna end up. Although that being said, I'm not even sure the Xaeros are getting their own enclosure. I'm kind of just thinking, it's weird I'm talking about this instead of the actual build I'm doing, but I think the Xaeros are actually gonna end up going in the Stego exhibit, because I feel like they'll fit there much better. I don't know. Anyway, yes, today Pachycephalosaurus in a fairly well-sized exhibit. I think this is the largest Pachycephalosaur exhibit I've ever made. Usually they're kind of small and overly hilly, which is something I didn't realize until I started working on this, that like every Pachycephalosaur exhibit I make is either on a cliffside, has a cliffside, or is like literally built on an 80-degree incline, which is kind of hilarious to me. Like, I always build them in these mountainous exhibits, and I don't know why. Every survival world I've ever had, Pachycephalosaurs always end up on a mountain for some reason. But they don't this time. In fact, they have a pretty flat exhibit overall. It only goes up like 3 blocks from the lowest point, so not bad, I'd say. Not bad for a bit of a change of pace, change of style with it. And one thing you're going to quickly notice, and I know I mentioned this again at the end of or I probably will at least, I've gone for very much a similar style to our 1.16 Alex's Mobs modded park. And the reason for that is because, well, that's the style I wanted to go for with this. I've been doing these dinosaur zoos for years now, and every time I always go for this very Jurassic Park, prehistoric park-esque look. So lots of like really big metal or wooden fences with these very densely populated, densely foliaged exhibits that all look, very much like they're from some big blockbuster movie like Jurassic Park or something like that. And I find that funny because although like it's a very classic style, it's not necessarily all the most interesting. And I think going for a more realistic zoo kind of look is almost a bit more fun. I don't know why. Maybe I'm weird. I think it was also kind of brought, this desire to do a zoo more like this with dinosaurs was also kind of brought on by Prehistoric Kingdom. Because the few builds I did do, I tried to make more like proper zoo exhibits, because, it's not like JWE or JPOG or something where you only have these Jurassic Park style builds to work with. You have like Planet Zoo and Zoo Tycoon style exhibits you can make, and I don't know, I feel like it'd be fun to do something like that with Fossils and Archaeology, since this is like my favorite dinosaur mod there is right now. But yeah, I think this turns out really, really well. A few areas here and there that I think I could have worked on a bit more, namely these big planters, and to be honest, these planters are a bit more of a stopgap than anything else right now. Mostly because I don't know how I want the path to interact and go forward from the Pachycephalosaurs yet into like whatever enclosure comes after them. So, and also kind of trying to block off line of sight to, what is obviously much more of a staff area in the back of the exhibit. So, trying to kind of find a way to avoid people just constantly seeing the like behind the scenes stuff, but also giving them plenty of good visibility and some sort of good decoration that's not like too over the top, but also, you know, it looks good enough. I don't know. Basically, it's just a bit of a mess, and I'm trying to figure it out, and it'll probably become easier when we have more exhibits thrown in here, which should hopefully be pretty soon. I'm trying to record a couple of these in one go. Well, when I say one go, I mean like record like at least 2 episodes in one sitting. I haven't actually recorded the time lapse for the next one yet, but I've kind of got some ideas. Although, probably, I might wait, think about that now, and then let you guys decide what animal we do next. So I guess if you have a suggestion for the next creature we do, leave it in the comments down below. I'd love to know. But as for the interior of the enclosure and like how we decorated it, I tried to go pretty light on the grass. I've had various suggestions from people. One being to do much more of a realistic like environment recreation, so no grass blocks in any of them, and using much more dirt and stuff like that, and not using modern grasses. But I've kind of decided I want to go for somewhat of a mix between, so using like prehistoric flowers and plants from Fossils and Archaeology, and maybe prehistoric flora if I decide to use that mod. And then also just a mixture of my usual leaf block bushes, grass, and trees that are custom trees that I build. Just because, I don't know, I feel like that's going to give us a nice little bit of biodiversity in here and give it an interesting look. So it's got that little bit of a prehistoric feel, while also, you know, having enough trees that fit the area and will be easy to replicate throughout the rest of the park without either being A, too big, which is the problem I have with a lot of the prehistoric trees in various mods, or B, not having enough interesting textures or colors, which is another problem I have with a lot of prehistoric flora mods, or prehistoric flora in various mods, being that mod, Fossils, Jurassic Raptors. A lot of them are really bland colors. But yeah, and I like having a bit more variety in the exhibits. I think it's a bit more fun to have like bright reds and blues, especially blues from those, the orchids from Vanilla. But yeah, anyway, just throwing in some enrichment items, and yeah, that's about it. I'm pretty happy with this build. I think it turned out pretty good for an initial build. Good starter thing for the zoo, and I think this is a sign of some pretty good builds to come. So yeah, anyway, I'm gonna let the rest of the time lapse play out. It's not much more, and I'll catch back up with you guys to show off the final build. Alright everyone, and here is the final build, looking pretty fantastic, I would say. I'm pretty happy with how this has turned out. Yeah, no, I was kind of confused, like I said, when I was going into this, of what we were actually going to do, but I think for what's meant to be a first exhibit, it's turned out pretty well. I would say, at least. Could there have been small improvements I could have made? Probably, and I think there still are. I might switch some of the stuff out right over here for something that looks better. I might actually go for some sort of wooden block instead. Maybe like oak planks, actually. We'll see. I've got Chisel. I can probably find something cool to throw there. But yeah, I just really like this. I think it's turned out pretty well. Obviously, I have incorporated a lot of things that we've been using tons of in our Alex's Mob Zoo. The shelter's very reminiscent of those builds. Even the terrain in here and how we've done the pathway, or not the pathway, the separation between the animals and the viewers, I guess, tourists? Visitors, that's, can't believe I forgot that word. But yeah, I think it looks pretty good overall. We got a nice mixture of cool enrichment items. I tried to throw in as many as possible, which is kind of funny because I feel like I haven't done that very much with the actual, like, proper zoo we're building. But I guess that's also more down to the fact I don't really have many enrichment items in those mods. But we got a couple of Fossils and Archaeology ones, just some random toys, and then some small Zawa stuff as well, just because I thought that would look pretty good. But yeah, overall, really happy with this. I think it's turned out very, very good. I should probably show off a bit more of what else I've done since last time. And I'm not actually sure how much of this I showed off in the previous episode. But for one, a lot more work has been done over on this side of the park. Basically just kind of getting things set up and getting the borders of the world established better. So we got the rock walls continuing on far more around here. We have a staff gate of sorts. I'm actually going to build we've got that tunnel entrance there. I'll probably build another one over here that would be like where trucks would come through and stuff and go through this gate, which will probably lead to more of a staff center type thing. But yeah, we've got that. We've got the traditional blue wool for building outlines and all that kind of stuff. And of course, we have this big empty plot and our map, which doesn't look very impressive yet, but it will, hopefully, later down the line. Or not, who knows, you know, you never know. Maybe it won't look very cool. Maybe it'll look very, I don't know, disappointing. Who knows, probably not. I think it'll look good. But yeah, also the reason this is empty is this is gonna be some sort of decorative thing. Not sure what yet, so just figured I'd leave it blank until I have some sort of like bout of inspiration and know what I want to do with it. But yeah, anyway, for exhibit number 1, I think we've done a pretty good job. I'm excited to get started on another exhibit. Maybe we'll do a slightly bigger dinosaur next, but I also think Pachycephalosaurus was a good choice for the start at least. You know, it's a good small dinosaur to work with. Anyway, that's all for today. If you guys have any suggestions for what animals we should do next, feel free to leave those in the comments below. And until next time, guys, see ya.